Welcome to the Dragon's Den. My name is Leo Drake and thank you for spending part of your day with me. Please consider subscribing to participate with the channel, and it is free to sign up, so there's no excuses. If you enjoy the video, click the like button and ring the notification bell to be notified when I post a new video. In this video, we are reviewing the movie Clue, based on the famous board game which they call Cluedo here, but in the States it is called Clue. I will be discussing the movie during this video, so consider this your one and only spoiler warning. Who do you think committed the murder? Was it Miss Scarlett in the ballroom with the candlestick? Or perhaps Professor Plum in the study with the lead pipe? Or even Miss White in the library with the revolver? Time to catch a murderer. So let's get to it.
We're trying to find out who killed him and where and with what.
Clue from 1985 was directed by Jonathan Lynn and is set in New England in 1954. 6 seeming strangers are invited to Hill House by letter. They are given pseudonyms to protect their true identities. Colonel Mustard, Mrs. White, Professor Plum, Miss Scarlett, Mr. Green and Mrs. Peacock. During a heavy storm, they are all greeted at Hill House by the butler Wadsworth and served by the maid Yvette. While they wait on their host, Mr. Body, the guests go into the kitchen for dinner, where they are served by the cook. During dinner, the guests start to talk and discover most of them live in Washington and many of them work for the government. Colonel Mustard is a real colonel. Professor Plum works for the UN. Mrs. White inherited her wealth from her dead husband, who was a scientist. Mrs. Peacock is married to a senator. Miss Scarlett runs an escort service, and Mr. Green works for the State Department. The mood changes when Mr. Body arrives, and they all adjourn to the study.
What do you mean? Murder.
Wadsworth opens and reads out a sealed envelope, revealing that all the guests are being blackmailed. Professor Plum is being blackmailed for having an affair with a patient. Mr. Green is being blackmailed for being gay. Colonel Mustard is being blackmailed for having an affair with an escort. Mrs. Peacock is being blackmailed for accepting bribes. Mrs. White is being blackmailed regarding her husband's death. And Miss Scarlett is being blackmailed over her illicit business. Mr. Body is revealed as the man responsible for blackmailing all of them. The butler, Wadsworth, advises the police will arrive in 45 minutes, and the conversation has been recorded as evidence along with the photo negatives of Colonel Mustard. Mr. Body opens his bag and gifts each guest a weapon, a rope, a candlestick, a dagger, a wrench, a revolver and a lead pipe. Mr. Body asks one of them to kill Wadsworth for the key to the locked front door as he wishes to leave before the police arrive. The lights are switched off, a gun goes off and someone screams. When the lights come back on, Mr. Body is on the floor and Professor Plum proclaims him dead. One of them is the murderer. Wadsworth confesses to being Mr. Body's butler. It was he who invited them all to Hill House, as his wife was being blackmailed for having socialist links by Mr. Body and committed suicide because of it. Wadsworth hoped to gain evidence of Mr. Body's criminal activities and see him brought to justice. The guests go to the kitchen where they find the cook dead with a dagger in her back.
I didn't do it.
They return to the study where Mr. Body's body is gone. Mrs. Peacock goes to powder her nose and finds Mr. Body's dead body for real this time. With such high stakes, Wadsworth suggests putting all the weapons in a locked cupboard and throwing the key away. They go to the front door to throw the key away and discover a motorist on the doorstep asking to use the phone as his car has broken down. The motorist is locked in the lounge to use the telephone. Colonel Mustard suggests they split up and search Hill House to make sure there is no one else in the building. They draw lots for partners. Colonel Mustard and Miss Scarlett search the billiard room. Wadsworth and Mrs. White search the upstairs bedrooms. Professor Plum and Mrs. Peacock search the cellar, and Mr. Green and Yvette are tasked with inspecting the attic. While the guests are searching the house, the killer disposes of the evidence in the fire, including the photo negatives and the recordings. The motorist is on the phone in the lounge and admits to recognising one of the guests before he is struck from behind with the wrench.
I didn't do it!
Colonel Mustard and Miss Scarlett find a secret passage and uncover the motorist dead in the lounge. The door is locked and they shout for their fellow guest to let them out. Yvette, the maid, shoots the lock out as the weapons cupboard is now unlocked.
I didn't do it!
The doorbell rings and Mr. Green opens it to discover a policeman who came across the motorist's abandoned car outside in the storm. The policeman is locked in the library to make a phone call and becomes suspicious, so he searches the house while the guests stage the dead bodies to fool him before locking the policeman in the library again. The guests resume their search with Colonel Mustard and Miss Scarlett finding another secret passage before the lights in Hill House are turned off. Yvette, the maid, is killed with the rope and the policeman is bludgeoned with the lead pipe. The doorbell rings and a singing telegram is shot on the doorstep. Wadsworth turns the lights back on and the guests gather in the hall where they discover the maid and the policeman are dead. Wadsworth, the butler, believes he knows who is responsible.
Very well. I know who did it.
Wadsworth explains the maid and cook were accomplices to the blackmailer. Mrs. White recognised Yvette the maid when she first arrived. Mrs. White has been married 5 times and hated Yvette for having an affair with her previous husband, so she killed her. Yvette had worked for Miss Scarlett and was the woman in the photos with Colonel Mustard helping the blackmailer. Wadsworth continues to explain that Mr. Body pretended to be dead in the study after hearing the gun go off. The butler did not throw the key to the weapons cupboard away as he pretended to do, so someone must have stolen it from his pocket. Colonel Mustard stole the key, retrieved the wrench and killed the motorist who was his old driver during the war where he sold secrets to earn his fortune. Miss Scarlett took the opportunity to kill the policeman who was bribing her to continue her illegal practices. Professor Plum killed Mr. Body to keep him quiet, and Mrs. Peacock killed the cook who used to work for her and gave information to the blackmailer. That leaves only Mr. Green innocent of murder.
I told you I didn't do it.
Wadsworth reveals he is actually Mr. Body. The butler did it. He shot the singing telegram and plans to continue blackmailing the stunned guests before he is shot by Mr. Green, who is a plant for the police who arrive to make arrests. Clue is a film of its time, however the situation is compelling and the mystery of whodunit keeps you entertained. One of the challenges this film faces is once you've watched it, the mystery is gone. However, they tried to combat that by having 3 different endings. Overall, I enjoyed the movie and I give Clue 3.5 stars out of 5. Thank you for watching. Let me know which film you would like me to review next in the comments down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, give it a like and share it. I'm looking to post a new video every Monday, so be sure to come back for that and click the link on screen to watch another of my videos. Until next time, hoorah!